Change of plans in this one, kids. This one's not for us, as in us gamers. See, this is the time of year when people are shopping for presents. Many of those presents will be games, and many of those games will be going to young kids who are new to the hobby, which means the folks giving the gifts will be themselves new to game shopping. Since one of my myriad day jobs includes in part video game retail, I've noticed that a lot of the same questions and concerns keep coming up. So this episode, this one is for them, the game-buying, gift-giving givers of the world. I want to help them out. So this time, I'm going to keep the language soft and the atmosphere jolly, and I'd like you guys to go ahead and send the link to this vid to every game-shopping mom, dad, aunt, uncle, Grammy, grandpa that you know. We're all in this together, after all. The For Everyone Else portion of this episode begins now. Hi, folks. Happy holidays. My name is Bob, but around these parts, I'm known as the Game Overthinker. I'm here to answer some questions and provide some enlightenment as some of you head out into the strange and often confusing world of video game shopping. First, let me try and save you some money right off the bat. Video games based on recent movies are not good. Are there exceptions? Sure, just not many of them. See, games take a long time to make, so if the game of a movie comes out the same time as the movie, usually it means they rushed it. Now, if that's what the little ones asked for, well, not much you can do, is there? But if you're just looking for a stocking stuffer, most of these titles are very expensive since they're based on popular franchises. Well, you can find something similar but better for less money. For example, the Pirates of the Caribbean games aren't very good, but Zack and Wiki, which is also a pirate game, is great. The Cars games are even worse than the Cars movie, but Mario Kart, awesome. Now, let's talk about content. This is a big one, right? And let me say very clearly right off the bat, I'm not here to tell anyone what's appropriate for their kids. Bottom line, your kid is your kid, and whatever you say is appropriate for them is. End of story. All I can give you is information and a small taste of my opinion. So here they are. This is the Esrb rating system. It's like the movie ratings, but for video games. E means everyone, E10 means everyone over 10, T means teen, M means mature, AO means adults only. Don't worry about finding AO games. There really aren't any. The ratings are for content, not playability. There's no indicator that'll tell you what skill level the kid needs to be to play the game. None. So let me give you one. They need to be able to read, add, and subtract to play any game on their own, because every game has instructions and every system has a startup screen. Beyond that, everything's a learning curve. As for content, here's the deal. These ratings are very, very strict. A movie that would be a PG-13 as a movie will be an M as a game, and often vice versa. Case in point, The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess for the Wii. It's a fairy tale. You save a princess from monsters. Not a shred more violent than any similar fairy tale in the Walt Disney canon. Actually less violent than, say, Aladdin. But it gets a T for teen rating. Why? Because Link here looks recognizably human, and he has a sword. Realistic weapons and realistic people are pretty much an instant teen with the Esrb. Let me make it even easier for you. In my professional opinion as both a game salesman and a game commentator, if the kid in question has seen any one of the Harry Potter movies and you found those appropriate for them, then there's nothing in any game rated E through T that should be a problem for either of you. Now, rated M? Yes, it's going to have blood and nudity and curse words, probably all three. Buy at your own discretion. Now let's talk about the real big one, the number one concern that informs all of the others. Which, if any, of the games out there are good for the kids? See, this is a question I hear all the time. Which ones are educational? Followed by the clarifier, I don't just want them to be sitting around mindlessly. Part of me wants to dwell on the logical and linguistic fallacy of the whole idea of mindless entertainment, since all stimulation involves the mind, and thus by definition no entertainment can be truly mindless, but I know what you mean. See, I understand. To many of you, video games are something vaguely frightening and alien. You're concerned about introducing them to kids or encouraging the habit further. In most cases, you have these concerns because you are ill-informed. And you are ill-informed not by your own action, but because you have been ill-served by an alarmist media that has made it its business to ill-inform you. You have been shown images of pale, overweight, out-of-shape children parked in front of a TV blankly following the action of a game. You have been told that games are a distraction, not a worthwhile hobby. You have heard it called a crutch, even an addiction. You have been misinformed. You have been lied to. And acting upon that misinformation, you will endeavor to mitigate the perceived negative impact of gaming by looking for educational games, which will only frustrate you, as there are so few to be found, and disappoint the kids because none of them are any good. Yes, you heard me. Educational games are terrible, right down the line. If it's not Brain Age, Brain Age 2, or Big Brain Academy, any given educational game has an astronomically high chance of being a big waste of money. See, these games tend to be made by people who figured out that cramming a disk full of random math problems can market a lousy product to concerned parents who don't know any better. There's even an entire sub-industry built around cheap, chintzy wannabe game consoles that only play cheap, chintzy educational games. Do not be taken in by these. Your kids don't want these games, and you don't want to waste money on them, because they're not going to get anything worthwhile out of the experience. So don't buy them, and I'll tell you why. All video games are educational. You think I'm being facetious now. You think this is gamer propaganda. You think at the very least I'm being hyperbolic or presumptuous in seeming to know what you think. I think. Well, I'm not. I believe this. Scratch that. I know this to be a fact, and I can prove it. See, no matter what, all video games, irrespective of genre or style, have one thing in common. They are all about problem solving. How do I get from point A to point B? How am I going to beat this guy? And then where do I go next? Everything is either a maze or an obstacle course, sometimes both. Take, for example, Pokemon. Now there's a name I bet you wish you weren't as familiar with as you are, right? Well, the Pokemon games run on what is called a turn-based combat system. During a battle, the opponents each have a certain number representing their endurability. They each take turns inflicting various attacks, all of which have a numerical value of their own and affect the other combatant by lowering his overall number based on a variety of mitigating factors also represented numerically. First guy to hit 0 loses. Thus, Pokemon is, in effect, a massive arithmetic problem with a narrative structure. It's math, top to bottom. Shh, don't tell them. But hey, anyone can find the positive in a game about a cute magic animal, right? Okay, let's do a hard one and prove my point. Grand Theft Auto. Yes, the games you play as a carjacking, cop-killing thug. Am I suggesting this game is appropriate for your kid? Heck no. In fact, I'll flat out say that it isn't appropriate for anybody's kids. I'm just using it as the most extreme example, to make a point. See, in the GTA games, the object is to get to the end of the story in one piece. To do so, you need to accomplish various criminal missions, usually spread out over a massive cityscape. You'll have an inventory of weapons and items, indexes of contacts and enemies, a map to follow, situational puzzles to solve, and even money to manage as you shop for new weapons and items. So right there you've got critical thinking, problem solving, inventory management, economics, and even map reading skills that can be sharpened by playing the poster child for the pervasive rottenness of gaming. Oh, and you've got to read a lot too. Get the idea, folks? If this slice of shock value Scarface worship can be a teaching tool, any game can be. What I'm telling you is, don't get hung up looking for games that are good for them. All games are good for them, in moderation, like anything else. Buy good games, and the benefits will take care of themselves. Honest. Look, folks, I understand that gaming seems like this strange other culture unto itself, largely because it is. I mean, look at this. I don't even know what's going on here. But the thing is, you don't need to. You don't need to know what a Mewtwo is, or what species Knuckles belongs to, or why these two guys don't like each other. At the end of the day, it's like shopping for anything else. A little bit of research, some common sense, and you're all set. And if not, ask a gamer. Despite what you might have heard, we're here to help. We're your friends. Good luck out there, and happy holidays from all of us.